That voice of resistance, it comes in insidiously through the back door, and it convinces us that we are unworthy of those results. And then what happens? What's going on, guys? It's your boy Alex in the Boss Life Domination Den, and I want to talk to you today about how to win more, ironically, by lowering your standard. Okay, those of you who don't know, I've been obsessed with self-development for 13 years. Obsessed. It's had my entire focus. And one thing that's a pretty consistent pattern throughout self-development is raising your standard. Raising the standard. Higher standards. Of course, that's good. Of course, it's great to have high standards. However, there is a problem. The problem is people are overvaluing intensity and undervaluing consistency. So the theme of this video is going to be prioritizing consistency over intensity. Let me give you an example. When I was around 18, I realized the importance of building good habits. I had been in self-development maybe 3 years. Up until that point, habits and the like hadn't really entered into my sphere of importance. So I began to think about it and realize that what I do every day matters. The things that I do every day add up. They stack up. And they contribute over time. They compound to the person they contribute to the person that I become over time, and they compound. So the example that I'll use is, at the time, I tried to set myself a goal of doing 100 push-ups a day, along with the various other things that I was trying to do. And I might have been able to get myself to do 100 push-ups one day, 2 days maybe. And what would happen would be on the third day, I wouldn't feel like doing 100. And because I wouldn't feel like doing 100, you know what I ended up doing? You know how many I ended up doing? 0. The problem was I was prioritizing intensity over consistency. I was holding myself to this incredibly high standard. I'm going to be the guy who's going to do 100 push-ups a day and nothing less. And then on the third day, when I didn't feel like doing it, rather than just do 10 or 20 or 1, I would do 0. And this is a consistent problem throughout self-development, is people get these surges of motivation. You know, if your girlfriend breaks up with you, or you get fired from your job, or quarantine hits, or whatever happens that gives you that surge of motivation to go out and execute, to do the right things, to move your life forward. You get that surge, right? You're like, I'm going to go hard. I'm going to start going to the gym. I'm going to start reading. I'm going to start doing all the right things. And we set the bar so high, to such an intense level, with zero positive momentum, zero consistency, that we quickly fall off that horse as that motivation surge dies off and we find ourselves not feeling like it. And then we just drop off. And then what happens? Then we punish ourselves. Then the voice in our head tells us, yeah, you're just not that kind of person. You're just not the kind of person who can be consistent. You're just not the kind of person who can get in good shape. That voice of resistance, it comes in insidiously through the back door, and it convinces us that we are unworthy of those results. And then what happens? Well, then it's months before we even try again, because we've beaten ourselves up for not being able to meet such an incredibly high standard. So what I want to challenge you to do, guys, and this concept comes from the Quarantine Domination Blueprint, which is a 40-page, roughly, blueprint to help you dominate quarantine. I wrote it during quarantine. And I realized earlier on, maybe 1 month after lockdown, dude, you've got to do something. You can't just sit here and relax during quarantine. No. Alex, I told myself, you've got to show up. You've got to produce something great. You've got to use this quarantine to your advantage. And so I wrote the Quarantine Domination Blueprint, and you can find that at quarantinedomination.com. It's for free. Entirely written for you to crush it during this unprecedented time. And the concept that I alluded to in the Quarantine Domination Blueprint and in the Benjamin Franklin method, which is a 5-day video course that follows, is consistency over intensity. So think about it this way. If you were able to lower your standard from 100 push-ups a day, from nothing to 100, as opposed to that, what if you were able to just do 1 per day, or 5, maybe 10 per day? But for a month, for 2 months, for 3 months, what do you think is going to happen on month 4 if you've been doing push-ups every day for 3 months? Well, I will tell you. What happens is it gets easier and easier to drive up the intensity. So steadily, slowly, the push-up reps go from 1 per day to 10 to 20 to 30 to 40 to 50. And it just sort of happens effortlessly because you're not making these huge leaps. You're focusing on consistency rather than intensity. And because you're not dropping off, you never jump in and beat yourself up for not meeting your own word. Okay? So if you try instead to prioritize being consistent, even at a smaller intensity, you will start to build true self-trust. And when you begin to trust yourself that you can do the right things every single day, even at a lesser intensity, before you know it, the time passes. You're 3 months in, 6 months in, and those things feel very easy to do consistently. And suddenly, before you know it, the intensity has also steadily risen. Before you are doing 50 to 100 push-ups a day, or whatever the habit may be. Remember, guys, you are what you do. Excellence, therefore, is not an act, but a habit. I think I just messed that quote up. I think I mixed 2 quotes and I messed them up. That's fine. But you are what you do. Not what you say you're going to do, but what you actually do. Okay? Consistency is what wins, not short bursts of intensity. This is a marathon. Guys, if you like this kind of content, show me. Hit the like, subscribe, hit the bell, comment below. I want to know from you, have you been prioritizing consistency or intensity? I just want to know the answer to that in the comments. If you've been prioritizing consistency, post that up. Intensity, post that up. Let me know. And if you want to hear a little bit more about this, go to quarantinedomination.com and download the blueprint, the QDB. This is getting incredible feedback. And the people who are following the steps, the system that I lay out and introduce there in the blueprint, they're crushing it. They're using this quarantine to their advantage. And we are getting better and better the more this thing goes on. So don't be one of the people who's falling off, retreating into your cave, and degenerating in a continual downward spiral and cycle, just waiting for the environment to become normal again. Use it to your advantage. Dominate quarantine. See you in the next video.